how you set up, use and clean your Hush Optimiser gun. Now this gun is amazing, I love it. Comes in the box and we're going to go through it step by step. One of the biggest things with phone calls that I have is that with issues with guns is that they're either not put together properly or 99.999% of the time they're dirty. So we're going to go through that as well. So this is what comes in your box. You come with your gun. Come with your pot. Utensils to assemble and clean. Your non-return valve. And of course, your instructions. When all else fails, read the instructions. Okay? So that's how it comes. So we're going to start off with building our gun from basically the bottom up. So we're going to put the pot on first. Now it takes a little bit of time to get to know your equipment, so make sure you put aside some time so you've got time to play with your equipment before you tan. Don't just rush into a tan, try and throw it all together and hope that it's all going to work. You need to know your equipment. So we're going to pop together this pot onto the base here. So let's screw that on that way. We're going to start off with having it finger tight, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go and grab this utensil and we're going to tighten it up. So we've got our utensil, we're going to use the big one here, we're going to pop that on there, and it takes a little bit of a minute just to feel around to get where it sits, and we're just going to turn it until this pot stops turning. See how that's turning? I might just tighten up just a fraction. You don't need to wring its little neck. We'll just go a little bit of time, and that's stop moving. So that's all we need to do there. So that's got the top of the pot on. So the top of the pot on there. Next thing we're going to do is put on the directional flow. Now, blue goes to the top. If you pop it on the wrong way, if you put black on the top, you'll get air through your gun, but you won't get solution. And I get lots of phone calls about that. So pop your black down. Black end down, that just slides onto there, and then the blue goes to the top one. Now, the beauty of this is that you pressurize your pot, so your pot won't leak at all. Okay, so now you've got your directional flow, you've got your non-return valve. Now, this will allow air and solution to come up here, and here only, and so that way it won't go past this point. Now, so that's got that on. What we're going to do now is have a look at how to use your equipment. So, basically for your pot, you see that the tube is curved backwards, which means you can have maximum amount of coverage into the bottom of your pot. It actually touches the bottom of your pot, which is really cool. So you need, like 10 mils to cover that. It has a gasket in here. Now, if you ever get leaking around the base of your pot, as in over here, you've done one or two things. You've split this gasket by wringing its little neck, or you've laid your gun down like this and solution has got into the top of this cup. So if you ever laid your gun down and then you pick it up and you have some solution run down there, that's all you've done. Just pull your pot off, wipe in and around here and pop it all back on. Now, when you first get your pot, you need to seat your gasket. And what that means is you need to actually create a little groove that it will continue to go in. Don't try and just put it on and wring it. Get your pot, just click it backwards and you'll feel it sort of click into the groove. And then we're going to just tighten it. And then we're just going to give it a firm little twist and you'll feel it sort of what we call click in. And then when you take that off, you'll see how there's a little ring about where that pot has seated in, and you'll see there's a tiny little cup on it, and that will stop, a tiny little edge on it, and that will stop any solution leaking over your pot. So the only time solution ever leaks over the pot of that cup is that you've wrung the neck of the pot and you split that gasket. Pull that gasket out, flip it over. You may be able to pull out, flip it over, and it may work. Otherwise, you'll need a new gasket. or you've leaned your gun down with solution in it. That's the only time pots will leak. So if you've got a leaking pot, no matter what the gun, that is your issue. If you've got air coming out of here and you can't get any flow through the front of your gun, you just need to tighten that up a little bit. Again, that's with your utensil, you just tighten that up. But if this base is not moving, you're probably going to be okay. Now, the next thing with your gun is that when you pull the trigger, if you have any leaking solution through here, this actually has some little gaskets, tiny little white gaskets like down here, and a little screw to hold everything in place. If you get some leaking down here, it means that this is a bit loose and you just got to tighten it up just a fraction. Again, we're going to use our little utensil and we're going to pop it on there and we're just going to give it a tiny little tweak, and we're going to plug it in, use our gun again and see if it leaks. So every tiny little move, test it and come back, because if you come in there and wring its neck, then all you're doing is splitting those tiny little gaskets and you'll need to replace them all. So when you pull your trigger back, you shouldn't get any leaking from there, or otherwise this is just a bit loose, okay? Now, the great thing about your gun is that it's got so many features. You can hang it up on the wall if you've got a hook, or you can pop it in your cup holder. But this is your directional, this is your flow control. So righty-tighty, less solution, lefty-loosey, more solution will come out. Now the reason that we do that is you're a fast sprayer, you want more solution coming out. If you're a slow sprayer, you want less solution coming out. I suggest you spray on low on your gun and spray nice and slow. So that's that. So turn it down this way, turn your solution up this way. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This is your fan pattern. So you can turn this all the way down and you get a tiny little circle, which is great for contouring, or you can turn it all the way up and get a nice big wide pattern, or you can have it in the middle and you can adjust it. So it's fully customizable to how you spray. Now, I love to get through tans in a hurry, so I love to have a big wide fan pattern, but you may find that you want something in between and you can adjust it. You can set it to your own individual taste. Now this is your directional flow here. So to spray up and down, we have our nozzles up and down, 12 and 6. If you spray across the body, you have them at 3 and 9 to spray across. So that's nice and simple, and you can turn that very easily if you want to change your style of spraying. And we all spray a little differently, so that's nice and easy to turn and spray. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now is start stripping down our gun. So this is about how the gun works. We're going to start stripping down the gun now, and I'm talking about a minimum of what you do every single week to clean your gun. And I don't care what gun it is, because I'm going to tell you now, I've had one gun in over 20 years that has been faulty. All the rest of them, and I'm talking hundreds of guns, have been dirty. So if your gun is dirty, it's not going to perform. If you haven't cleaned it every week, it's not going to perform, and you're going to get all the issues that guns get.